What are drugs?
Cure for medical purposes.
If it's an unhealthy habit, it's going to be handling and understanding emotion.
And what is peer pressure? What violence actually means.
Violence is meant to bully someone.
Navchetna, a new consciousness on life skills and drug education for school children. Objectives. By the end of the session, students will be able to understand what are drugs, difference between licit and illicit drugs, and be aware of three main categories of psychoactive drugs. To have a general understanding about alcohol and short and long-term effect. To have a general understanding about tobacco and short and long-term effects. To have a general understanding about volatile substances, inhalants and short and long-term effects.
Good morning. Please be seated. So as you are aware, the session that we have today, this morning, is on the basics of drugs, part 1. So I'll begin the session, and as I begin the session, we will be asking a lot of questions from you, and you will be having to respond. And whoever I will request, that person will be responding to the questions. Is that okay? Yes, sir. All right. So we'll begin by asking, what is a drug? What is your understanding of a drug?
Actually, drug is a harmful substance which affect our body also, and it is a chemical substance which we use to take. Actually, the sport players used to take it because they want to increase their level. They think that if they use that, then their level will increase.
And if they use it, they think, what do they think?
They think that their level, their stress, they will be strong in their when they play. At
Okay,
that time,
so
they will
be
strong.
strong.
Yeah.
All right.
It can be a cure for medical purposes. And
It can be used for
a cure in medical purposes and many medical purposes. Can
cure
be,
for a lot of diseases.
and it has many negative impacts also. Like it can be addictive.
And can be addictive also.
It is the negative impact.
So a drug, this is as per WHO, World Health Organization. As per the World Health Organization definition of a drug is any substance except food and water, which when taken into our body, the way the body works changes. And it changes our mood or the process of thinking. All right? Yes. This is based on the definition of WHO. Now, having said so, please tell me, where is our brain? You can tab it yourself or the friend next to you. Where is our brain? Brain. This is our brain. Okay? And where is our spinal cord? Where? In the back, in the middle is our spinal cord. Okay? All right. So this is what you call central nervous system. So the central nervous system comprises of our brain and our spinal cord, which is in the back, in the middle of our back. So now as we proceed, we are going to discuss about what are psychoactive drugs. So when we say what are psychoactive drugs affect a person's central nervous system, which I just shared with you, our brain and spinal cord, which controls most of our body movements. Whatever movements we are making, even expressions that we are making, they are controlled by our central nervous system comprising of our brain and the spinal cord. And thinking, The drugs act on the brain and can change a person's mood, thought processes, or the behavior, our actions. So psychoactive drugs have three main categories. So what are the three main categories of psychoactive drugs? Depressants. This slows down the activity of our brain. Stimulant. It increases the activity of our brain. Makes us more alert. Hallucinogens. What hallucinogens do? What they do is they make us get into an imaginative situation where we start seeing, hearing, and smell things which actually do not exist. So it is taking us to a different world which actually does not exist. Okay, that's why we call them hallucinogens. These are the three main categories of psychoactive drugs. So we'll get into more detail. So we'll first discuss what are depressants. So drugs that slow down the activity of our brain and decreases the alertness. We are less alert. Example could be you could lose the balance as you walk. You may not be able to even walk properly. Some depressants are, for example, alcohol, which is legal. So when I say it's legal for a particular age group. Am I right? Yes. Yeah, so it is legal for a particular age group, not for everybody. But yes, it is legal and it's available. Then heroin, which is illegal. So it's a criminal activity on the part of whoever possesses it, will use it, deal with it, sell it. It's illegal to do so. So heroin is an illegal drug. It is a category of drug which is a depressant. One of them being legal, which is alcohol. One of them being illegal, which is heroin. Or any analgesic, which is a pain reliever. Like, what is the most common pain reliever which we would have? You have heard of Brufen? Or paracetamol? Crocin? Okay, these are the most common painkillers. So analgesic, legal, it's legal. It's it's available in a drugstore, in a chemist shop, in a pharmacy. It's legal to buy it and use it. Legal, that relieves pain or discomfort. A person might have a discomfort, person might have a problem. One of my friends in the back said that most of our drugs that we have, which are legal in particular, and they are very important for cure of any disease. So people may think the word depressant means depressed or sad, but it is about slowing down the brain activity. It's not a depressant. Okay? In depression, you're sad. That's a mental health condition. But when we say these drugs are depressants, we need to understand we are not referring to a mental health condition called depression. We are referring to a condition in which our brain, its activity slows down, overall alertness goes down. We may even fumble, we may not be able to even walk properly. That's what happens when we are under the influence of a depressant, including alcohol, legal, and a heroin, which is illegal, or other medicines which are for, like a painkiller, which is for some disease that we are dealing with for its cure. Now we will discuss about stimulants. Now stimulants again are drugs that have the opposite effect of depressants. So they make us more alert by increasing the activity of our brain. For example, caffeine, found in coffee, tea, cola. So who takes tea in this room other than me? Does anyone take tea? Oh, little bit, not much. So most of you do, but you don't. None of you take? Okay, all right. So I do take tea. So tea has what you call caffeine. Coffee has caffeine. And all the cola drinks, Coca-Cola and Thumbs Up and Pepsi and Slice and Red Bull. All right, all right. So they all have caffeine. Then there is also a stimulant which is called nicotine, which is found in tobacco. It's a legal drug found in tobacco. So, and the last one, this is what am I discussing? As a depressant, as a stimulant. What are these? No, these are not different kinds of drugs or different types of drugs. What are they? Yes, these are 3 categories of psychoactive drugs. Okay? 3 categories of psychoactive drugs. Not the kinds of drugs, types of drugs. There are a lot of types of drugs with different names which may come in any of that category, but they are not types of drugs. We are talking about categories of psychoactive drugs. Last one, third one is hallucinogens. Yes, you have a question?
Nicotine is harmful.
Is harmful, yes. We'll
But
come
why
to
selling in the
nicotine, we'll
market?
discuss about nicotine.
But why selling in the market?
Why selling in the market? Because it's legal and it gets revenue to the state. All right, we'll come to that. We'll discuss a bit more when we come to tobacco. All right, hallucinogens, which is the third category of psychoactive drugs. Drugs cause the user to see, hear and smell things in a strange way. In large doses, this can be cannabis. In large doses, consumption or use of cannabis can lead to hallucinating effect, which is a category of drug called hallucinogens. All right. Now, what we are going to discuss is licit and illicit drugs, legal and illegal drugs. So, based on what you know of, can you tell me briefly about what do you understand by licit legal drugs?
Alcohol,
Alcohol is a licit, it's a legal drug, yes.
tobacco,
Tobacco is a legal drug. All right. So let's discuss what are legal drugs, licit drugs. Legal drugs, licit drugs are drugs for people of a certain age. So only people of a certain age can use them, buy them, procure them, have them, okay, possess them. And for people with a relevant medical prescription, that's very important. So unless you have a prescription, you can't buy particular drug. In our part of the world, in India, in India, what you have is a Schedule H drug. For example, I'm just giving an example. So those in particular have to be under prescription. So prescription drugs, drugs which are given by a doctor, prescribed by a doctor for a particular condition, for a particular disease, maybe for some pain, maybe for some common cold or fever, and doctor has prescribed, you go to a chemist shop, you go to a drug shop and you get or a pharmacy and you get a particular drug. So these are legal drugs, but for a certain age. For example, alcohol is a legal drug, but it is illegal for a particular age, not for everybody and anybody. Tobacco also is legal for a particular age. Can you tell me what is the age? 18 above. So 18 above, a person can buy any tobacco product. Caffeine are prescription, not prescription drugs. For example, Combiflom, again it's a painkiller for pain relief. And our cough mixture. Sometimes people have cough, people have issues with, they have cough and they need some medication. So they may go to a doctor, seek the advice. A doctor will say, take a particular cough mixture. So they will get the prescription. They will go to a chemist shop. They will go to a drug shop, pharmacy and get it. So this is what we call legal drugs. Most of the legal drugs that we have, which we need to understand, is which are available at a pharmacy or a chemist shop, are life-saving drugs. And for some people, these are the drugs which they may have to have for the rest of their life. For example, somebody who is having some chronic health issue such as
Hypertension is the problem where a drug can be useful.
High blood pressure, high blood pressure, diabetes, okay, like insulin, you would need insulin in such case. So these are life-saving drugs under the prescription of a doctor, and they are critical and they are life-saving as well, and they are also part of same category, which is legal licit drug, including alcohol and tobacco. So legal drugs, licit drugs, use it for treating for a health condition like cough, back pain, dental pain. Ideally should be purchased and used on the advice of a doctor. Most of the licit drugs, legal drugs that we get from the chemist shop, pharmacy, has positive effects, but it can have negative consequences, but if it is misused, which means if it is not used as per the prescription of a doctor. We need to also have in our mind that licit drugs are addictive. Some of the licit drugs are addictive. What does that imply? That implies that we may get dependent on such drugs. We may get used to those drugs. Now, again, part of licit drug is what we discussed was alcohol and tobacco. We'll come back to that again. Alcohol can be harmful if misused, and tobacco is extremely harmful to the body. Both are used more for personal pleasure. It gives a personal pleasure to a person, whoever is using it. And an individual does not need to go to a doctor for these. You don't need a prescription from a doctor to buy tobacco or to buy alcohol. You don't need a prescription. They are advertised and made to look glamorous. Why? Because as we discussed during the earlier part of our discussion, that these are the drugs which are sold by the companies, promoted by the companies. All right? We'll come to the illicit drugs, illegal drugs. Illegal drugs are the drugs which are illegal under all circumstances. And because of this, their use is classified as, in India, is classified as a crime. That can be associated with punishment, such as fine. A person can be fined, or person can be detained, put inside a jail, or both. Person can be detained, put inside the jail, also will have to pay a certain fine as well, because it's a criminal offense to possess or use or deal with any kind of illicit, illegal drugs that we will just discuss in India. Now, drugs classified as illegal or illicit, for example, include cannabis, heroin, and cocaine. 3 kinds of drugs. What do you know based on whatever we discussed? Can you tell me few names of illegal drugs, illicit drugs, and few names of licit, legal drugs?
Alcohol is the legal drug which is
Alcohol. Okay.
Tobacco is also illegal.
Tobacco is legal. Okay.
Heroin and cocaine is illegal. So some pain relief medicines like paracetamol is also
Okay.
illegal.
They are legal. Paracetamol or combiflam. All right.
Caffeines are legal.
Caffeine, such as
Coffee, tea.
coffee, tea, all colas.
Cannabis is also illegal.
Cannabis is illegal. Okay, anything else?
Maftol is legal.
Maftol. Okay. What is it? It's a painkiller. What is it? All right. So, in the discussion that we had about legal and illegal drugs, licit and illicit drugs, we also know of the particular drugs which are legal, which are illegal. What we also need to have in our mind and be aware of, all the drugs have the potential to cause harm to our body. All right. I am going to read out a statement and you're going to tell me this statement is true or this statement is false. And so you have to think before responding, but you have to listen carefully. All right. Always. Many people think that prescribed medicines or over-the-counter drugs bought at a pharmacy are always safe because they are legal or doctor has prescribed. True or false?
Sir, false.
False. Okay.